Hello and welcome to the first course in our D3 series. To complete this course, you should be confident using JavaScript and have a basic understanding of data visualization. D3 is a framework created by Mike Bostock and is arguably the most popular on the web for building visualizations. That said, it's important to know that it isn't a library with ready-built visualizations. Don't expect to be able to create a bar chart in a few lines of code. For that, you'll want to explore other frameworks such as Highcharts or Chart.js. But fear not, what D3 lacks in simplicity, it more than makes up for in sophistication. To help understand exactly what D3 is, it makes sense to start with what it actually stands for, and that's Data-Driven Documents. Basically, D3 is a tool for building HTML markup using data, and although it offers the option to render absolutely any HTML element, it's more common to work with either the SVG or canvas element, which are the two main elements used for visualizing data in a more graphical format. To find out more about these elements, take a look at one of the following resources. In this course, we'll be focusing on using D3 and SVG, and after starting with some basic DOM manipulation, we'll work our way up to creating this bar chart. To begin working with D3, we'll first need to load it into our web page, which can be done with a standard script tag. A copy of the framework can be downloaded from D3.js.org, installed via npm, or obtained from a CDN. In our application, we'll be working with a local copy of the file, so we'll reference it with a relative path like this. With the file loaded, we'll have access to a new global variable called D3, which we can start to work with. The first thing we're going to look at is the select method, which allows us to get a reference to an existing element and returns it as a D3 node. The function accepts a single parameter, which can either be a string that represents the selector to use, just like we would in CSS, or a reference to a D3 node. If multiple matching elements are found, then the select method will return the first one. Later on, we'll also be looking at the select all method, which works in the same way, but will return an array of all matching elements. We're going to start by getting a reference to the HTML body, like this, and we'll save it in a new variable. This variable is essentially a D3 node that represents the body element. Next, we're going to create a new SVG element and append it to the body, which we'll do by calling the append method. This method also accepts a single parameter, which should be a string that represents the tag name of the element we want to create. Again, we'll store the result in a new variable. The 2 lines of code we've written so far are fine in terms of their syntax, but if we continue with the same approach for everything we're going to be doing, we'll soon end up with lots of variables, most of which we'll never reference again. So what's the solution? In D3, we have the option of chaining methods together to continue working with the latest D3 node or nodes. If we change our code to this, then we only end up storing a reference to the new SVG element, which is the latest node in that chain of events. This approach can also be used to manipulate that node's properties, such as which classes, attributes, and styles it has. Let's finish creating our new SVG element by giving it a width and height using the attr method. This method expects 2 parameters. The first specifies which attribute we want to set, and the second is the value to use for that attribute. So, to set the width and height of the SVG, we could do this. In the next lesson, we'll look at how we can draw rectangles and customize them. Before that though, it's time for you to complete some activities and get your SVG ready for the next step. You can stay up to date with all of our content by subscribing to our YouTube channel or following us on social media. If you'd like to see more from this course, then head over to websy.academy, where you'll find our full set of training courses complete with hands-on activities and much more.